a delight to be here on the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. I line up for today on the show some top news stories to keep you informed on some of the happenings on politics, the housing sector in Nigeria and the world. Our discussion segment today will be focusing on office ergonomics. An expert will be speaking to us on what it is and why it matters, talking about the kind of work you do, the environment you work in and how it affects your health. These and more will be coming your way after this break. I am Imana Bagudu. Do stick around.
They live in the shadows, forgotten corners of our city. Overcrowded, unsanitary, lacking basic amenities. These are the slums where millions struggle to exist. But there's a flicker of hope. An ambitious project is underway. Imagine homes with running water, proper sanitation, schools and playgrounds for children, a chance for dignity, for dreams to take flight. But this transformation needs your voices. Speak to Housing TV Africa and let the world witness the resilience of those who fight for a better place to call home. Let our cameras capture the tears of joy, the shared laughter, the spirit of unity that shines brighter than any hardship. Get in touch with Housing TV Africa today and be a voice of hope to people living in the slum. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
President Bola Tinubu has submitted a supplementary budget proposal to the House of Representatives for the Federal Capital Territory Authority, FCTA. Now, the proposal aligns with the federal government's fiscal policies and the renewed hope agenda. The proposal also addresses the FCTA's reviewed revenue and expenditure forecast, as required by Section 121 of the Constitution. Let's take a watch.
The Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, Speaker of the House of Representatives, National Assembly Complex 3 Armed Zones, Abuja. Submission of supplementary budget proposal to the 2024 statutory appropriation of the Federal Capital Territory, FCTA. I write in accordance with the provisions of Section 121 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to forward herewith an additional supplementary budget proposal for the FCT for consideration and passage by the House of Representatives. This supplementary budget proposal has been prepared on the basis of the FCT's reviewed revenue and expenditure forecast and is aligned with the fiscal and developmental policies of the federal government and the renewed hope agenda. With it, the FCTA continues to prioritize improvement of human capital and infrastructure within the Federal Capital Territory. While I trust that the House of Representatives will, in their usual expeditious manner, consider and approve the 2024 supplementary budget proposal of the FCTA, please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurances of my highest considerations and regards. Yours sincerely, signed, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Still on national matters, President Bola Tinubu has sought debt forgiveness from developing countries from lenders. Now, President Tinubu, who is the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, made the remarks in Nigeria's national statement at the ongoing 79th United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, in New York. The president, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, also called for the recovery of the proceeds of corruption and illicit financial flows from developing countries, stressing that the return of such funds to countries of origin is a fundamental principle of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Now, the president also called for a collective action against hunger, terrorism, climate change, and other global challenges. He urged world leaders to recommit themselves to multilateralism by deepening relations among member states of the United Nations in line with the principles of inclusivity, equality, and cooperation. Take a watch.
We reiterate the call for international support to operationalize the African Standby Post, in addition to the provision of requisite support and resources to ensure the upgrade, take-up, and effectiveness of a Center of Excellence on issues of counterterrorism in Africa. Mr. President, reform of the Security Council is critical if the UN is to strengthen its relevance and credibility in our rapidly changing world. Some permanent members of the United Nations Security Council have offered encouraging, if tentative, indications of support on the issue of reform of the Council. We welcome the change in tone and urge an acceleration in momentum to the process. The Security Council should be expanded in the permanent and non-permanent member categories to reflect the diversity and plurality of the world. We fully support the efforts of the Secretary-General Guterres in this regard. Africa must be accorded the respect that it deserves in the Security Council. Our continent deserves a place in the permanent members category of the Security Council with the same rights and responsibilities as other permanent members. Mr. President, your assumption of the stewardship of the General Assembly presupposes that you will be seized with the progress of the implementation of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We note that most developing countries are significantly lagging behind in the achievement of these goals, largely due to a lack of resources available to finance their implementation and the burden of unsustainable external debt. It is our expectation that the adoption of the Pact of the Future for the Future will change the narrative, reposition economies, and translate into concrete measures that provide solutions to the challenges faced by developing and least developed countries. This is particularly significant in our region and the Sahel, where human development indices are low and depressing. It is for this reason that we reiterate the call by countries, especially of the Global South, for reform of the international financial architecture and promotion of a rules-based, non-discriminatory, open, fair, inclusive, equitable, and transparent multilateral trading system. We are aware of the debilitating impacts of corruption on global prosperity and national progress. Process of corruption and illicit financial flows
According to reports from the White House, President Joe Biden will make his long-awaited visit to Africa when he travels to Germany and Angola in mid-October. Now, Biden's first stop will be Germany, where he will express appreciation to Germany for supporting Ukraine's defense against Russia, among other issues. While in Angola, Biden will meet with President João Lourenço. The two leaders will discuss increased collaboration on shared priorities, including bolstering economic partnerships and enhancing peace and security. The Good Morning Africa show continues after this break.
Get credible and authentic housing news at your fingertips by downloading the Housing TV mobile app. You can also join the African International Housing Show live from across the globe through the Housing TV mobile app. The mobile app features live streaming and trending housing news. You can locate the AIHS venue via the app, network with AIHS seasoned speakers, and live chat with exhibitors. You can also order house or building materials at AIHS via this app. Download the Housing TV mobile app now from the App Store and Google Play Store. And don't forget to click on the notification button. Available for both iOS and Android users. Housing TV is also on Star Times, channel 149 decoder.
If you're just tuning in, this is the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. Thank you so much for joining. Now, the kind of work you do, the environment you work in, and the tools you use to do your job has a huge effect on your health, Now, the goal of Office Ergonomics is to set up your office workspace so that it fits you and the job you are doing. On the show today, our focus is on Office Ergonomics, what it is and why it matters. I have an expert with me in the studio, Dr. Charles Adagusi. He's a physiotherapist, and together we'll be having this conversation. It's a delight to have you, Dr. Charles. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me here.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure, and I know the viewer are also excited to have you here. So, office ergonomics is something people don't really talk about. You know, there are certain topics people don't really, people just wave in and like, what are you seeing? Maybe because in this part of the world, we don't pay attention to, certain things that are very, very important to us. Now, we need to educate the viewers on this particular topic, what it is and why it matters. So this brings me to my first question. What exactly, just briefly define what office ergonomics is or means?
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So in simple terms, like office ergonomics is just talking about like the science of creating an ideal fit between a worker, which could be any person, right? Somebody that works in an office, or maybe somewhere else that is like termed an office workspace.
Okay.
Because today we have like workspaces that are beyond, let's say, our homes. Like some people work from home, right? So you can literally have an office within your home, and then it could even be your room, right? So creating an ideal fit between the individual, their workspace or their work environment, and then the actual tasks to perform. Because I'm sure you agree with me that yes, we all have jobs, we all have works, but they are different. This job requires like different tasks or forms of movement that we have to carry out in order to carry out those specific tasks that tie to our jobs and our occupation, right? And then depending on how you carry out your job, right, it can also predispose you to a lot of healthcare conditions, and that's what we require you to come on. Either see a physiotherapist, a physician, or maybe an orthopedic surgeon. And that's why people should actually care about whenever they hear the term ergonomics or office ergonomics, right? Because if I should say this next two words, everybody can relate to this: back pain and neck pain. Yes,
of course,
exactly.
Yes, yeah.
So that's what office ergonomics is all about: creating an ideal fit between the worker, the work environment, and then lastly, the tasks to perform. Because when it comes to ergonomics, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? And then the essence of it is because of the major problem we have with back pain and neck pain, which are work-related musculoskeletal disorders.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So, why should every individual work area be, be in a particular order? Why is it necessary, or rather why is it important that people have their workspace in the most professional way that it's supposed to be, to keep them balanced health-wise and still make them do their job properly? Okay,
so now the two major reasons why you need to ensure that your office space or your workspace is set up properly. The first one I'll talk about is your health, right? Because if you don't set up your workspace properly, because funny enough, as humans, right, we spend most of our time in our workspace.
Sure.
The other place where you spend most of your other time is at the bedroom sleeping, right? So you want to ensure that where you're actually working is actually safe, is comfortable, and is not predisposing you to having any form of work-related musculoskeletal disorder, which in simple terms are your back pain and your neck pain. And you would agree with me that this is very common.
Very.
A lot of people struggle with back pain. While I was growing up, we used to think back pain is like an older people's disease condition and all that. But trust me, I have friends that are around my age or even younger than me that struggle with back pain and neck pain. And this is just because there are some certain rules that they are breaking, right? All in the process of trying to be productive while working. So you need to ensure that your office is actually set up correctly so that you don't have any back pain or neck pain related problems, which we all agree that is very prevalent right now amongst young and older individuals. Then secondly, if your office space is set up correctly, it's comfortable, it's safe, it doesn't make you have any form of strain that puts you in a position of maybe risks of having back pain and neck pain, it will actually enhance your productivity and then the quality of work you actually get to produce, right, while you're working on whatever task you're working on. So I think these are the two major reasons. And then aside from that, if you do not take care of your office space and ensure that it's in a it's in an ideal setting, right, what that would mean is that you're just like all the money you're working, you're just like saving up a part of them to spend in the healthcare setting. Like there's a statistic that shows that in 2016, like globally, about $134 billion was spent on back pain and neck pain in just a year.
Okay, so I need to sit upright.
Exactly.
To that.
No, not just that. Like you actually need a consultant to tell, because most people don't really know about this. Like nobody. Like when I say ergonomics, people are like, what does it mean? Is it economics? Is it this? Yeah. So a lot of people, you actually need to ask questions when you're setting up office space. You should get like an ergonomics consultant, right, to set up the ideal workspace for you. Like for me, I'm a physiotherapist. I have a background in physiotherapy, which is like proper healthcare. But then talking about what office ergonomics is all about right now, it seems like I'm diving towards like occupational health, right? Now, the reason why I sort of developed an interest in this is because while I was in school, even after like I also started practicing a few years ago after I graduated, I noticed that a lot of people, especially individuals that work in a corporate environment, they keep coming up with back pain. Yes, we will treat with fix. Either maybe the physicians will give you medications, physiotherapists would see you through their manipulations, all those cracks that a lot of people love, give you exercises. But then a lot of people keep coming back. Like you would agree with me, when you try to solve a problem, you can fix it from like a superficial perspective, but then if you don't fix the root cause or the underlying cause, the person will keep it. It's just a cycle. And the funny thing that we're all Nigerians, you will be spending the money that most people don't really have. So that's why I think ergonomics needs to actually be preached, right? Because it's like the preventive measure for tackling prevalent work-related problems like back pain and neck pain that almost every single person has.
Wow, indeed, that was really enlightening. So let's talk about injuries. When you say injuries, people, the first thing that comes to their head is, oh, I'm falling, I'm breaking a bone or something, but I know there is more to it. So just briefly, highlight the common office injuries that people can, have.
Okay. A typical example, like I mentioned, like people can develop like muscle strain that can lead to back pain or neck pain, because pain in itself is not necessarily a bad thing. Pain is just a signal that the body is using to tell you that, see, you're deviating from the normal, so you need to address. For example, you've been sitting in a wrong posture. When there's an ideal posture, when you stray away from it, at first you might not necessarily feel it, but if you stay there for some time, you start having aches and pains to tell you that you need to return to the ideal posture, right? So most times when people are working in an office space that is not set up properly, what happens is that they tend to strain some certain group of muscles. It could be their lower back, around your neck, and over time, if you allow these muscles stay in that sustained state of tension, you're actually putting them in a position where like they might have reduction in blood supply, and this will affect the structure and the functionality of those muscles. For example, muscles are supposed to enable you move around, and for them to do that, they need to be flexible. So you notice that because you've put them in a lot of strained position, you've been turning and twisting, just making a lot of movement that you're not supposed to be doing carelessly, or probably you're using the wrong back chair that doesn't suit you, because like we all know, we are all of different heights, of different body weights, but then sometimes you just think any chair would fit you, right? So when you do this, your muscles are the ones that suffer, your ligaments, right? So when they stay in those state of sustained tension, they tend to develop like a lot of tension that will not predispose them to you having issues like chronic back pain and neck pain. And before you know, like there's some basic movement you were able to do, maybe like touching your toe, you realize that you're unable to touch your toe. And there's actually a study that showed that like people that tend to sit for a long time, they tend to lose flexibility of the muscle we call hamstrings that's just at the back of your thigh. And that muscle is actually very important when it comes to any function that has to do with like the lower part of the back, and then because most times, most of the activities of daily living that we all participate in has to do with bending, and that muscle is actually very critical. So when you sit down for a long time, chances of that muscle becoming shortened is higher. That's why, as much as possible, we're encouraged that while you're working in any office environment, you shouldn't sit for too long. So that's just about it. So the two major injuries is that if you're using the wrong office setup, chances are you'll be straining your muscles, and that is what will probably now lead to you having some back pain and neck pain if you have not had any prior fall or maybe any external trauma. But then it's just the strain that you'll be placing your muscles on. That's like the primary cause of most injuries you get when your office is not set up
Okay, so you
properly.
spoke about sitting down in one position for a long time. What would you advise? For how long should one sit while working, and then stand up to either take a stroll and then come back?
Okay, so there's like a 2020 rule. Like what you can do is like basically when you're working, right? It also kind of like depends on the kind of work you do. Because for example, let's say you're working in like a ministry where you are more like a clerical staff or someone that has to like take files from one office to the other. That person is most likely not going to be sitting down for 3-4 hours because the job of that person requires them to take files. So that person is always moving, right? So that person might not necessarily need the advice that you want to get from me right now. But then for someone that is like an IT expert that works on a system, or you're going through a lot of emails, right? What you need to do is that after some time, let's say about 20-40 minutes, you could stand up, right, and just take a few walks and then do some basic stretches, and after that you can sit. And then so that you also don't get some lost productive hours, what we do is that like these days there are desks called sit to stand desks that are being used in most offices. It allows you to also be working on whatever task you're working on while you are like within office hours, so that it doesn't seem like okay you have something urgent and pressing to do and then you are walking up and down. Do you get? So you can do that to change your position from the sitting position, right? So 20 to 40 minutes you can just change. And aside from giving you this fixed rule, just listen to your body.
True.
Listen to your body.
The body will always tell you.
Yes, most times before people slouch, right, or they get into like an awkward posture, is a response to the muscle telling you that I'm a bit tired, and you start getting some ache, and all of a sudden you just turn, right? So just listen to your body, and then as much as possible ensure that while you're working you are moving, because the body was built to move.
To move. I love that. The body was the body was built to move. Okay. Let's talk about self-care in an office space. We're meant to believe that, you come to work, you do your work. I know there are little hazards there and there, but self-care is very, very important. What would you say that individuals should put in check when trying to perform their jobs diligently?
Okay. If that is to ensure that they perform the job diligently, right? So first thing, you want to make sure that, okay, like I said, when it comes to, I'm looking at this from an ergonomic point of view, right? So you want to ensure that, okay, you understand the task, what you need to do and what it involves, right? And then you are also considering that, okay, even though, yes, I'm going to be getting this done, my health should not be sacrificed because I'm trying to be productive. So you ensure that, for example, if you're going to be working in an office space, not like in a construction site, for example, that you have a proper ergonomic chair that suits you. Like you have different individuals, like I'm sure you have colleagues that some of them are 6 feet tall, some are 5'8", right? They are not supposed to use this exact kind of chair, right? You're supposed to ensure that, okay, the various adjustments you find in this ergonomic chair are adjusted to suit the particular individual.
Do you think, okay, with all of these explanations that you just gave, do you think that most offices in Nigeria are aware of this? Okay,
the interesting thing is that if you go to most offices, even like organizations that have been in Nigeria for years, they have very good chairs, but I don't think they understand how those chairs to be implemented, because most times the approach is a one-size-fits-all approach, irrespective of your height, whether as long as you're an executive director, everybody's using the same chair. No need that there are some people that maybe they have history of neck pain, and then the chair you're giving them doesn't necessarily suit them, right? Like there are factors you consider in picking a chair for a particular individual. That's why, like, as an ergonomics consultant, for example, like if you are asked, okay, set up an ergonomic workspace, what you do, you carry out a needs analysis. get the individuals that work in that environment, you ask them what they need, right? And then you look at the job they do to understand how to create the ideal fit for them. Because like I said, it differs depending on the industry you work and then your department too within your organization. So you need to consider all these factors before you can create an ideal fit for that particular individual. Let me give another example.
Okay.
There are some chairs that are built in such a way that they help ensure that your core muscles, that is muscles around your lower spine, like I'm sure you see a lot of women that wear corsets to get this figure 8.
Exactly.
So we actually have natural muscles that helps to keep your spine stable, such that when you're trying to lift any heavy thing, your spine is stable and then weight is properly distributed from the upper part of the body to your legs. But then sometimes because of how we use these muscles, like the abdominal muscles can get loose and then you start seeing people having this abdominal distension and then it affects weight distribution. There are some chairs that when you use them, it helps to ensure that, okay, those muscles are activated while you're working. But there are some chairs that while you're using them, those muscles will not be activated. And what that means is that you are increasing the risk of you having back pain because there will be a muscle imbalance between the muscles that are in front and the muscles that are around the back, right? So most times, if individuals do not understand this, they might just pick the chair that might end up harming them, not knowing that, okay, this is actually the best chair for them depending on what they want to achieve. And also, some people already know that, see me, I have postural problem, I cannot maintain the right posture, right? So there are some certain chairs they should not use, but those that are trying to build up that habit, they would get the perfect chair that can help ensure that right from their neck to their lower back, they would always be in the appropriate posture so that they don't put their muscles on any form of strain.
So how do you think, as a professional, you know, I love the fact that you're really educating us on this. How can we, you know, transfer this knowledge to exactly and implement it, because it's very important. You don't want people to come to work, people that are very active working for you, and at the end of the day, because of your office setting and everything is affecting their health. So people need to be aware.
So I think the first thing that organization, because it has to be at an organizational level, right? Because most people right now, they work for organizations, right? So the organizations, they need to get, like, a lot of them have like health and safety expert. They need to get an ergonomics consultant, someone that will come over to the organization. You can do it like based on different departments. They'll come and make a proper needs analysis, and then create the ideal fit so that before you make procurement for chairs and desks, right, you would have done proper analysis and risk assessment. That's the best way to actually implement all this. And then if you want to do it at a personal level, maybe you have an home office workspace or you're a remote worker, because a lot of people around my age right now that are into IT, they are setting up their own offices. So you reach out to an expert, let someone come and help you set it up, right? Because some of these basic stuff you might not know it, but then there's some basic adjustment you can make, or there's some basic things you can know for you to know, okay, probably I don't think my office space is properly set up. For example, while you're sitting, if your leg is not like properly balanced on the floor, you know you're sitting wrongly, because ideally when you're sitting, your leg and your foot is supposed to form like a 90-90 angle, right? That has to ensure that your lower limb, that is your leg, all the muscles are well relaxed. And then your laptop should be at your eye level. You're not straining, you're not bending down, so that you don't strain the muscles in your neck. And then if you're working on a desk, your elbows should be at the same level with the height of the desk. That means the armrest of like a normal economic chair. So there are some basic things that you can use to know that.
I'm sure a lot of organizations are found wanting. If we try to do a research, trust me, I think all organizations will be running helter-skelter to want to, you know, have their workspace more comfortable. Okay, so I think basically we have touched most of the things that we need to, but before I let you go, how can we prevent injuries in workplaces? Yes.
Okay, as much as possible, like I said, it starts from, is it at a personal level or at an organizational level?
Both.
Okay, starting with the personal level, as much as possible, right? As an individual, when it comes to, like, let me say back pain and neck pain, right, you need to ensure that you are physically active. Because most times, a lot of people, when they don't engage in physical activity, they don't know that they're increasing the risks of them coming up with some of these back pain and neck related problems. Because physical activity helps to ensure that, okay, you have proper blood circulation, so you won't have any cardio issues. There's nothing like you're working and then you slumped, right? So blood pressure and these lung related issues will be sorted out. And then aside from that, physical activity will also help ensure your muscles are functioning well. They will be flexible, they will have good strength, right? So whenever you're doing a task that requires any form of physical exertion, you won't be stressed. But then if you're someone that you've not been probably engaging in any form of exercise or physical activity, trust me, when you are exposed to any task that is beyond your normal threshold, for example, you will develop an injury. Because, for example, let's say you have not been working out or exercising for like over a year, then you're asked to go on a half marathon or maybe something that is not over that long. Most likely, that's when you see a lot of people slumping, coming down with a lot of pain and ache, right? So as much as possible, every single day, engage in physical activity. Just for 5 minutes of like walks, right? Like could just be your house, wherever you're staying. You can do that every day before coming to work. And then as much as possible, ensure that your working tools, your chair, your desks, they are arranged in an ergonomic pattern, right? Get an expert opinion about them so that you know, okay, your workspace is good. With that, you can prevent any form of...
Do you offer such services?
Yes, personally, I'm looking at that, yes, because
okay.
I think this is something people need beyond like the intervention will also give her the...
So how have you been able to create awareness?
Okay, right now, what I'm currently doing, I'm trying to educate a lot of people, especially organizations, on what ergonomics is all about. Actually connecting back pain to ergonomics, because when they know, okay, yes, back pain is the problem they can all relate to, and then the only solution they know is medications, maybe surgery and physiotherapy, right? But then, like I said, it goes beyond all this. If we solve it at that level and then you go back to what's causing it, you're going to come and visit us again, and that's more money that you're spending, right? So we need to do all that, like I said, physical activity, engaging in exercise, try as much as possible to manage any form of stress, right? Like there's some breathing exercises you can do, because when it comes to like tackling the problem of, let's say, back pain and neck pain, right, starting from your workspace, it goes beyond ergonomics too. Like, you need to incorporate stretches. There are times you've been typing for a long time. All you need to do is simple exercises like this for 10 seconds. Once you do it, you feel more relaxed, right? So you need to engage in this exercise while you're at work and then at home, and then you manage your stress, and then as much as possible to try not to take on stuff that's too much, because most times when people are distracted with the amount of work they have to do, they tend to forget about their health too, not knowing that if you lose your health,
the work continues.
Exactly. So I think you can, and then lastly I would add this: eat properly. In fact, eat smart.
Good.
Yeah, there's this Mediterranean diet that is actually fruit-based. So when you eat more fruits, it's actually much more beneficial to your body, right? Because personally, I used to always tell people, as a healthcare expert, I think exercise and food, that is good nutrition, are like the keys to a long and a
But currently,
life.
now people cannot even afford,
well, that's
a
true.
very proper good meal.
Yeah.
So we just hope things get better.
Yeah,
a very insightful conversation here I've been having with Dr. Charles Adebusi, a physiotherapist who've been looking at office ergonomics, what it is and why it matters. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're still going to bring you back here because we need more of these lectures for the viewers to be able to understand that health is wealth.
Yes, it is.
We cannot, keep talking about it all the time. All right, we should keep talking about it all the time. It's very important. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me also.
You're highly welcome. The Good Morning Africa show still continues with sport highlights. Let's go on a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
Get credible and authentic housing news at your fingertips by downloading the Housing TV mobile app. You can also join the African International Housing Show live from across the globe through the Housing TV mobile app. The mobile app features live streaming and trending housing news. You can locate the AIHS venue via the app, network with AIHS seasoned speakers, and live chat with exhibitors. You can also order house or building materials at AIHS via this app. Download the Housing TV mobile app now from the App Store and Google Play Store. And don't forget to click on the notification button. Available for both iOS and Android users. Housing TV is also on Star Times, channel 149 decoder.
Welcome back. The Good Morning Africa show right here on Housing TV Africa has been such a very insightful and educative one. If you've missed out, we had news stories, and then also we had an expert with us in the studio who spoke to us, or rather who educated us on Office Ergonomics, what it is and why it matters. It matters because you need to take proper care of your health. Now, to wrap up the Good Morning Africa show is sports highlights. We have 3 lineup matches on the line. Liverpool versus West Ham. We also have Arsenal versus Bolton Wanderers. Barcelona versus Getafe. Let's take a watch.
And so the defence of the Carabao Cup that was won so dramatically at Wembley Stadium last season begins tonight for Liverpool. That night, a much changed West Ham side was on the end of a Liverpool hiding. Let's take a check on the two teams, starting with that name by Arne Slot. Basically 2 people keep the place from the weekend at the front. Well, West Ham changed their system, they changed their formation. Bowen bounces off Curtis Jones and runs away from him. That's a lovely ball. Arriving here is Somerville, and it will break into the penalty area for Danny Ings, who taps the ball home, but does so from an offside position. That's for Soufal. Cresswell's take, and Kilman, and this needs a block from Liverpool. Oh, and it's gone in of Jarell Quansah.
Well, Kilman was offside.
It was going to be a really competitive game. That's a ball for Cody Gakpo. Now he's all on his own at the moment. Red shirts are making ground into the penalty area now, and that's Chiesa. And there goes Diogo Jota, who responds in the perfect manner for Liverpool. He's fought his way through a bit of traffic there and finds a bit of open turf in front of him. Gakpo again. Jones again. The little thread is beautiful. Oh, stunning goal. Stunning Liverpool goal. Can Liverpool provide some of their own? Salah's pass, Bradley's run. Brilliant save, Salah, goal! What a reaction from Mohamed Salah. Spot by Quansah. Gakpo goes again. And goes on, and he's deserved that. Cody Gakpo with an outstanding goal here. Trying to stay with him. I don't think anyone can stay with Gakpo at the moment. Deflected and in! It is 5 for Liverpool. Cody Gakpo's got himself another via a
At times they've made it look easy tonight. That was easy for them. And Bolton will be so frustrated, but right at the start. There's Lewis Skelly. Beautifully done. Quality shining through for the Gunners. And Kai Havertz.
They live in the shadows, forgotten corners of our city. Overcrowded, unsanitary, lacking basic amenities. These are the slums where millions struggle to exist. But there's a flicker of hope. An ambitious project is underway. Imagine homes with running water, proper sanitation, schools and playgrounds for children, a chance for dignity, for dreams to take flight. But this transformation needs your voices. Speak to Housing TV Africa and let the world witness the resilience of those who fight for a better place to call home. Let our cameras capture the tears of joy, the shared laughter, the spirit of unity that shines brighter than any hardship. Get in touch with Housing TV Africa today and be a voice of hope to people living in the slum. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
On this note, we call it a wrap on the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. Thank you so much for watching. You can watch this episode and subsequent episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Housing TV Africa. Follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms. Do not forget, the Housing TV mobile app is available on Google Play Store and Apple Store to stay connected. Get all the latest gist and information in the housing sector and the world at large on the mobile app. I am Mimuna Bagudu. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
1, 2, 3.